The government is known for enacting laws targeting individuals. A short while ago, they enacted a law called Public Order Management Act targeting the former opposition leader, Dr. Kizza Besigye, restricting people to meet without the clearance of the police. Now, they've enacted this law targeting myself and other forces of change, all other dissidents that are not in the country, trying to curb political engagements outside the country. After cutting off all funds that is legally and constitutionally allocated to the opposition, now they're trying to incapacitate the opposition by stopping any funding unless it goes through the minister. In this law, I must also mention that it is provided that any Ugandan that leaves the country is referred to as a foreigner, and Ugandans that are living outside the country that send money back home to the people that receive that money are regarded too as agents of foreigners. This is meant to cut down all funding to incapacitate the opposition and to, maintain regime survival. It is one of those embarrassing laws that are used by tyrants, by authoritative leaders to ensure that they incapacitate the opposition.
How do you sustain a party then if this is in fact the law now of the country?
Well, we were told by Martin Luther King that when a law is unjust, it is not only right to disobey or to break that law, but it becomes a moral duty to break that law. So it will become a moral duty for Ugandans to creatively break that law. Of course, it's going to be challenged in court, but because the judicial system is also in the pocket of General Museveni, the Ugandan dictator, there's no hope even in the law. The only option by Ugandans is to ensure that they remove that regime so that we can be able to repeal all those oppressive laws.
Hi, I'm Bobi Wine, a freedom fighter from Uganda, and I'm glad to be here at OK Africa. Thank you. Well, we're beginning from the 15th of January, but the story carries even from way back. We had the most brutal experience, so many people killed, but a few days before the election, on the 15th of January, the internet was switched off. So we had a presidential election in January, on the 15th of January, with a blacked out internet completely switched off. My entire campaign team abducted, many missing and others in prison. And as soon as my wife and I cast our ballot, we were placed in house arrest. A day later, our house was raided by the military. I was able to escape and disappeared and remained in hiding for another week until again my house was raided and my wife was assaulted, beaten up by the military, stripped naked and filmed. Her pictures were later to be tweeted by General Muhoozi, who is the Chief of Defense Forces and son of the President of Uganda, claiming that he was teaching me a lesson. Meanwhile, he was issuing orders publicly, tweeting that I should be found and castrated, and he gave orders to deliver me to him, dead or alive. It took me more than a month and a half of hiding until I was able to make it out of the country. And here I am. Meanwhile, my team remains in prison, others remain in hiding, and the abductions continue. But we refuse to give up because we know ultimately our country is going to be free. Absolutely every dictator, from Hitler to Mussolini to Stalin to Mugabe, they all had supporters, those that feed from their hands, those that benefit from the misrule. Definitely there are those, their family members and their close team. There are definitely those that benefit from the suffering of the people. Right from the days of slavery, there were black people that were benefiting from the slavery. Colonialism, the Africans that were benefiting from colonialism. So definitely there are those that benefit from the dictatorship in Uganda, and therefore they support the dictator. I must make it clear that when power changes, it will not be in my hands. It will be in the hands of the people. We call ourselves people power because we want to move power from one man to the masses, to the institutions. We want to move power from the guns to the people. So when power is finally in the hands of the people, represented by me or any leader that will be elected by the people, what we want to change is to end absolute rule, is to end dictatorship, to end gun rule, to bring back democracy, to bring back respect for human rights, to build a country where citizens will not fear to criticize leaders for fear of repercussions, where citizens will be equal before and under the law, where there will be zero tolerance to corruption, where there will be real Pan-Africanism and real national pride. That's what we want to bring in our country. I think both, because authoritarian rule is facilitated by people that give up their fight. So yes, it scares me to see people giving up. That's why among the many things we want to do is to keep the hope alive, is to keep our people believing, to keep hoping against hope. That is what we want to stop. That sense of, giving up, I wouldn't say Africans are turning on Africans. I would say some Africans are turning on Africans, and that's the highest level of ignorance and idiocy. You'll pardon my choice of words, but that's exactly what it is. It is sad, most importantly, to see that this is prevalently in South Africa. I mean, when South Africa was under apartheid rule, when it was under white minority rule, we came together as Africans. There were fronts for South Africa, in Ghana, in Tanzania, in Nigeria. In Uganda, we had a training wing, a training ground called Kaweweta. It was established to train South African fighters and other African fighters that were going to liberate South Africa under the Mkhonto we Sizwe arrangement. So it is just very, very disappointing, and I'm sure Mandela and all those great freedom fighters must be turning in their graves to see that their legacy is being abused by those that we all fought to liberate. While I believe that every country's laws should be respected and migration should be limited, but it's such a shame to see Africans not attacking white people, no matter how illegal they might be in their country, but attacking Africans. It's the highest level of self-hate and self-denial. We condemn it, and we continue to call upon the authorities in South Africa and the leaders all over Africa to condemn that and make sure it comes to an end. Because, to be made to feel less simply because you are black in Africa is a shame. I know that it is two-way. First of all, of course, they are politicians, and that is the reason why I hate to be referred to as a politician, because the word politician has in many, many ways lost meaning. There are those politicians that fan those xenophobic flames to gain political relevance. But I'm also tempted to believe that this could actually be a trick to bring back apartheid, because now for we, the Africans that came together to support South Africa, I can imagine that after those few short-sighted South Africans doing what they're doing to their African brothers and sisters, it is a way of isolating South Africa from the rest of Africans. Imagine if they went back to oppression, because it is very possible. Which African would stand with them? So while they think that they are protecting their territory, they're actually setting themselves against the rest of Africa. If I was them, which I'm not, I would think twice or even thrice. Music, without a doubt. Music communicates, it touches the soul, and it comes in no questionable way. I was more listened to as a musician, and I miss my musical days. But unfortunately, especially back home where I come from in Africa, music tends to be not taken serious enough. I was an artist, and everything that I'm saying I said before, only with a beat and with a different look. I never used to look like this. I was free with my free flowing locks and everything, but I had to dress up for the role in order to be taken much more seriously. And these things that I'm saying, I was saying in my music, I only chose to get the mandate of the people and go to the formal platform, and that is the parliament, so I can say formally what I was saying through music. And yes, it has come with benefit to the cause because people have taken me more seriously. It has brought more people to attention. It has brought more attention from the common people to the politics. Back then in Uganda, and I believe largely in Africa, politics was a matter of politicians, the elite, the intellectuals, and all those. And there was a big divide between the common people and the politics of their country. I myself, in my younger days, I would say, nah man, I'm not a politician, I don't deal with politics. Until it became apparent to me that politics is everything. Politics is the air we breathe. Politics determines the price of everything we buy, the sugar, the oil, the fuel and everything. Politics even determines how long we live because it determines whether or not we have good schools or good hospitals. And that is why I took a step and invited the masses into the politics. Today, back in the days of Idi Amin and other leaders, the political prisoners were the intellectuals, the professors, lawyers,